What's happening, Bills Mafia? Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports podcast, bringing you another Buffalo Bills pregame show, Keys to Victory show. My guest, Phil Munson, joining me once again. Phil, thanks for joining me, buddy. Always a pleasure.
Hey, always a pleasure. Glad to hop on before one of the bigger games of the season.
Yeah, this is a big one. The opportunity has knocked on the door of one Bills drive. Can the Buffalo Bills answer the door once again? That's the biggest question. What are the keys to victory? How do I see the Buffalo Bills beating the Patriots? You'll throw your 2 cents in as well. But at the end of the show, for those of you that are Buffalo Sabres fans, Phil has got some awesome updates on the Buffalo Sabres, as well as some projects that he's working on covering the team that I'm sure Phil is super hyped up about, as am I. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But Phil, I want to get your thoughts prior to the keys to victory. Let's acknowledge the fact that this Buffalo Bills offense, though, this red hot Buffalo Bills offense, though, as the kids say, THO, I am just flabbergasted with how good this Buffalo Bills offense has looked because I've never seen it before. I mean, I'm 28, not to date myself. I know you're in the 20s area as well, close to my age, right? So we've never seen this before. What is your reaction to this Buffalo Bills offense thus far this season?
First off, I would just like to say that this season's probably been the funnest when it comes to, and if that's even a good word to say, this has been one of the funnest seasons to watch, like the Bills offense, probably since like the early days of Chan Gailey being here with like Fitzpatrick. And those kinds of things. I vaguely remember the early '90s, so I do know the K-Gun offense. I mean, me and you have commented on Doug Flutie before countless times, but Doug Flutie he kind of in a
It's my
recent
dude.
interview he kind of said he ran it by the yeah he kind of ran the offense by the seats of his pants because he was just like he just knew where the ball should be, and it took him a while to pick up the playbook, that kind of thing. So um, I
It
think
was
that
all improv with Doug Flutie. That was Flutie magic, though.
yep, and most of the time he got away with it. But yeah, they were showing the Bills did a really good feature with him and Steve Tasker, and it was funny because like Tasker left were retired right as Flutie came in. So they never got
Right.
to play with they never got to play. So, but yeah, go. I mean, this offense, and you know what? I almost forgot that that offense with Drew Bledsoe and Peerless Price and Eric Molds. That offense was super dynamic because you had Travis Henry in the back, and you just had a crazy good. I think Marshawn Lynch too, maybe at one point. I might be getting those years mixed up because
Yeah,
we all
they
know
didn't
that.
have Lynch with Bledsoe.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that would have been awesome, but they
yeah,
didn't.
because
Yeah.
he turned into a statue at the end of that. So, but yeah, this offense is probably one of the better offenses to be around. I mean, you're saying red hot. I mean, Frank's red hot all over this offense and all over Stephon Diggs and all over Cole Beasley. Um, I really thought last year they should have used Cole Beasley a lot more than what they did. I never could figure out why they didn't use him or utilize him in the slot because he put guys on skates, and we're seeing that this year. Hopefully, he should be going, barring injury. Knocking on wood over here, he should be in the 1,000 yard mark club with Stephon Diggs. And I think if John Brown would have even been able to stay in and be healthy, which I know we'll probably get to that news breaking right before the
Right.
game in a second with John Brown and what's been going on with COVID and all that. I really think they had a they had a chance at having two guys be 1,000 yard guys and then another one or two be like in that 500, 600, maybe even 800 yards as well
Right.
because Josh Allen is just spreading the ball around and he's doing a really good job. His pass protection's been really good. I don't think the offensive line gets enough credit, especially with how it's been scrambled. I mean, we were talking Quentin Spain like 3 months ago, and
Yeah.
I have no idea where he even is anymore. Like this offensive line, you got to give a lot of credit to this offensive line, the offensive line coach, and I mean, you and me have our opinions of of Dable, and
Yeah. I
I,
definitely. I'm glad you brought that up. Not to interrupt
yeah,
you, but man,
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
yeah,
I feel like right now they're hot, they're riding hot, and I think if they can keep it going against the Patriots tonight with that kind of defense that's given Allen nothing but fits, um,
right.
I think that's a big step forward. I think it's a big step forward tonight if they can, put some, 24 to 30 points on the board. I think the Bills will be sitting pretty going into the playoffs.
I agree, and you touched on a lot of awesome topics there. I had a lot of nostalgia just listening to you dive into that offense. That the last successful offense, I think, was Chan Gailey's, Fitz, and
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Johnson. Who I'm pretty sure you're rocking the Stevie Johnson jersey. You mentioned Doug Flutie. Shout out to Mom. Hi, Mom. She got me the Doug Flutie jersey, Mitchell and Ness jersey for Christmas among many other things. I'm
What?
pretty
That's
blessed.
awesome.
I gotta say, I'm pretty blessed. But she got me the Mitchell and Ness Doug Flutie jersey circa 1998, and I'm wearing that tonight. I should have worn it for the show, but I got this Buffalo football shirt now. I wanted to represent, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm thinking that this offense though is one of the best offenses that I've seen in Bills history. In my lifetime of watching the team, they're so efficient on first down, passing the ball. They pass on first down more than anybody in the league. Josh Allen
Mm-hmm.
has been asked to shoulder this heavy workload week in, week out, high number of pass attempts every week, putting the offense on his back essentially and just letting the weapons around him take care of the rest. Player that you mentioned first, Cole Beasley, right now is probably the best slot receiver in the league. They just toss him the ball and let him do the rest. Stephon Diggs, this is the X factor that we needed all along. This is the guy that I had wanted, this type of added dimension on this offense last season. And Brandon Beane talked about how they went after Stephon Diggs via trade. They tried to go out and get Stephon Diggs. They couldn't make it happen last season. Now they get him here. He's broken single season franchise records in his first season as a member of the Buffalo Bills. So just talking about Allen and Diggs, did you expect this Bills offense to be this good this soon? And you mentioned Brian Dable, somebody that last season I was just so frustrated with. I thought he played it safe a lot. But now that he's got this added dimension in Stephon Diggs, who is one of the best receivers in the league currently, it made so much more of a difference for Brian Dable and this Bills offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that there's just not Stephon Diggs. I think he kind of it's that X factor, like you said, he can make that big play, kind of like last week where Josh Allen. I was actually just watching. It popped up on Twitter right before we got on that Josh Allen had that 60. I think it was 62 or 63 air yards to Diggs last week on that long bomb down the field, which is the second most in the NFL. I'm assuming behind Patrick Mahomes. Um, but yes, he's the X factor. I also think within the last couple of weeks, and I don't know if you've seen this as well, and I've said it before kind of on Twitter, they're passing to set up the run, which everybody always says you run to set up the pass, like play action. However, I don't what I've noticed is they run play action, but they run like it's almost like a draw play action where they draw the defenders in just enough, maybe just a step. And that gives enough time for Allen to be like, okay, I know who's either coming, going. It makes his reads a little bit easier. Yes, they don't run the ball probably to the as much as what me and you would want, but this is as we know, it's a pass happy league. I definitely feel like Stephon Diggs is now starting to evolve the offense. The whole season from day one to now, I even feel like the offense is different from day one all the way to this week because now they are complementing and they're throwing in that run game, but as well they're also throwing in the short passing game. The short passing game meaning those screens, those dump offs to Singletary to Moss. Moss is starting to look healthy and he's starting to run guys over left and right. My girlfriend last week when she was watching the game with me, she's just like he just ran over like three guys. I was like, this is what they got him for.
This
Like
is what they
she's like, who
needed.
is this
Yes,
guy? Who is
yes.
this guy?
Your girlfriend was right though to notice, and this is my first point really in the key to victory as we kind of segue to keys to victory here. Before we do that though, I am right there with you. I want to see this Bills offense continue to progress. I don't even believe that this Bills offense has achieved their full potential, which is
Nope.
crazy given
Nope.
given how great that they've been. But I don't think they have. They have largely untapped potential in the run game. And in particular, that is my biggest key to victory, I think, for this game. To start off, I would say it is my key to victory number one. I'll give number two and three, but you touched on it, pretty eloquently there in terms of Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. Run the rock with Moss and Singletary because I truly believe they are both very qualified, capable running backs. I think they've proven that, albeit pretty seldomly, but that's the one criticism that I have of this offense thus far this season is that they haven't really tapped into this tandem quite yet. And albeit they're AFC's champions, right?
Yep.
Finally, they're AFC's champions. They won their first division title in 25 years. I'm thankful for that. But knowing that this team could even be better than what they have shown because of who they have on their team and who they can utilize on their team, I think is icing on the cake. And for a matchup against the Patriots tonight, who have one of the worst run defenses that Bill Belichick has ever seen, I think they need to get the ball to the running backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the way Dable has been spreading out uh, both Moss and Singletary with the series and how they are, I mean, it really lit a fire underneath Moss's butt. And also, if you hear a little bit of whining, that is the dog Harley. We're live, people. We're live. the little puppy she is, she got a lot of attention over the holidays, and now she wants all the attention. So if you hear whining, that's not me. My stomach's not hurting. No, it's the dog. She wants attention.
Dude, we're
Give
living in the COVID
give
era. There are no rules. There are no rules to these live shows. I got my door shut. I got not two but three cats. So I'm like, hey, you guys go downstairs. That's the thing about cats and dogs. Like cats will just go do their own thing if you
mm,
let them. Where dogs are like they need that love, and that's why dogs are awesome too. Cats and
yeah,
dogs are pretty cool.
she needs all the attention. We had some family over this weekend, and not family, my girlfriend's family that were here
Nice.
constantly, so she had constant attention on her. And when I say some COVID people, it was like
Yeah.
one or two people in and out, and
Oh, you're
so
good.
just
You're
just
good,
to
dude.
just to save my own bacon.
We as New York State citizens, and I'm not getting political here. I'm saying us as people, we have done a pretty damn good job at listening to the local politicians. I think
Yep.
I think we've done a pretty good job. So, but yeah, I believe that Zach Moss and Devin Singletary complement one another really well. These last few weeks, there is no hotter offense in the National Football League than Buffalo's. Kansas City has looked extremely vulnerable. I touched on it earlier today. I posted a live video on Instagram. It's shocking to me that this is not more of a topic. And I know that Pat Mahomes is arguably the best player in the league. I think that's safe to say, right? With how dynamic he
Yep.
is and how talented he is. He's probably the
Him and
best
Aaron
player in the league
Rodgers.
now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Aaron
They're
Rodgers, yeah. So, that's like a two-headed MVP race. You slide Josh Allen in there, though, and look at
yep.
Dak Prescott's numbers, or not Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson's numbers last year as an MVP. They are very, very similar to Lamar Jackson's numbers. So, do you think Josh Allen deserves MVP consideration?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now he's probably playing third or fourth fiddle with that. However, like my thing is that's why kind of tonight's game's kind of big because if Allen can get on a a heater, as they say on the tables in Las Vegas, if he can get on a heater and just start picking apart this, kind of depleted secondary that the Patriots are having. There is no Stephon Gilmore. There is no John Brown, so we're not going to get to see a repeat of what happened last year in prime time. But I think Allen can definitely pick apart this defense. Belichick is very good when it comes to figuring out, especially younger quarterbacks, what they do and what they do well. But the last few weeks, I've seen such a maturation of Josh Allen with him, and it's the typical thing of the dissection of the defense. He's actually doing good. Like before, I felt like zones were not his thing, going against his own defense, going against a man defense. Now he's fine. He's fine, and as long as he gets an idea, and it might be even Dable in his ear, like, hey, they're playing a lot of man. So just to let you know, they're playing man this time, or before the ticker's up. I think
Yeah.
Allen's starting to
Look
read
out
the
for the edge
defenses
rusher. Look
faster.
out for this.
Yep, he's
Yeah.
seeing the field. It's just like how you had that stupid cone in Madden a long time ago.
Oh my
He's a little
God.
bit more open as in between this, and people are probably watching, going, "What is he doing with his hand?" If they're not, I feel like Allen's his vision is just a lot better. Obviously, his accuracy has gone up, but he's had so much time in the pocket. Like I bet you there's a stat where he's had X amount of time in the pocket this entire year. I really feel like Allen has taken such a step forward, and it's been without John Brown most of the year. Like John Brown
Right.
hasn't been there, and that was his safety net last year. And I mean, yes, Stephon Diggs, say what you will, but can you imagine this team with John Brown? And I really think, to answer your question, Josh Allen should be in the discussion for MVP. He's probably not going to win it only because everybody knows who Patrick Mahomes is and everybody knows who Aaron Rodgers is. But if he shows out tonight against a Bill Belichick defense, and I mean puts on a show kind of like how he did last week and the week before, he might not be third fiddle. He might be one or two.
Here is my take on the entire MVP debate.
Mm-hmm.
Any season. This relates to any season, not just Josh Allen and the MVP discussions, but we'll just say for the sake of it, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the three guys that rightfully belong in the MVP discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. If you took Aaron Rodgers off of the Green Bay Packers, if he was out of commission, to quote John Kreese, out of commission, if he was out of their lineup and he got hurt, and you had QB2 come in, Brett Hundley, whoever it may be, I don't even know who the backup is in Green Bay anymore,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't do well. If Pat Mahomes got hurt and you threw in whoever their backup is over there, with who Kansas City has on their offense, I would say there's a better chance that Kansas City's backup would do better than Green Bay's or Buffalo's. And that's my
Mm-hmm.
final point. If you took Josh Allen off of this Buffalo Bills team, I love Matt Barkley. I'm not throwing shade at Matt Barkley here and saying this. With all due respect,
He
this team,
watches Twitter. He watches social media. So yeah, you better be careful.
he watches the shows. He's probably hopped on watching my show too. I don't, for all I know, who knows?
He's got
But
burner accounts. He's
he
got
does.
burner accounts.
He does. With all due respect to him, though, he would even agree with me in the sense that there are few quarterbacks in this league as dynamic as Allen. The only two, arguably more dynamic than Allen, are Mahomes and Rodgers right now, as it stands right now, in terms of how successful they've been. So I think that has to be thrown out there. And their first divisional title in 25 years, 4,000 passing yards, over 35, 39 total, 38 total touchdowns. My memory serves me right, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
38 or 39. I just looked at that because he's right behind Aaron Rodgers, and that's what I'm saying. Like if he can,
right.
Aaron Rodgers already played, so
Yeah.
if he shows up tonight, that's what I'm saying. You get in that total TD category, and you start showing out tonight. Josh Allen can put himself firmly into it. Now he could also, as he's done in the past, can
Take himself out
completely
of it.
take himself out of it, especially against the
Yeah.
Patriots, because Belichick just he has that way of doing things, no matter who his personnel is. But there's no Stephon Gilmore tonight, and I know Jackson's playing really well. That's the other corner that they have. He
J.C.
played
Jackson's solid.
yeah,
Yep.
he's a very good corner. I get that, but you've played really good corners all year. You can't tell me
Yeah.
that you're not that confident in throwing it up to Stephon Diggs and or Cole Beasley and Gabe Davis. Let's shout out to Gabe Davis wherever he is, if he's on Twitter, if he's not on Twitter. That guy can ball. I love Gabe Davis.
Yeah,
He
I do too.
he doesn't he fights for everything, and when he gets up with a bad ball against Allen, he goes and tries to like knock the other guy's head off. Like he's my man. He doesn't get me as angry as Dawson Knox does. Dawson Knox, I think, gets everybody angry at one point or another during the game. He is the ultimate Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but that's probably for a podcast in the off season when we're looking at
Oh man,
positional groups.
the offseason, yeah, exactly. Looking at positional needs, it's crazy that there are so few. They are so few and far between, but that's one of them. And
Mm-hmm.
again, no disrespect, but we're talking sports here. We have to. And people say, well, what do you know? You're sitting behind a microphone. You're sitting behind a desk. It's like, well, we have to call it as we see it, and as we see it right now, Dawson Knox has just been so inconsistent. That's like the
Yep.
only piece of this offense that is like glaring in terms of not being bad, but not being as great as the rest, right? I
Yep.
think that's fair to say. And yeah, to your point, I would say that Allen has played extremely well. Do you see where I'm coming from though? Like Mahomes gets enough love. Aaron Rodgers has had enough love. Like if you're looking at a player that has emerged as an MVP caliber player, it's not even close. Like it is Josh Allen and nobody else, I think, right now.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Russell Wilson kind of took a couple of steps back because Seattle is such a weird. They're such a weird team. The whole NFC is honestly a weird. They're weird.
Very
I don't
strange.
believe for a
Yeah.
second that Green Bay, and I have friends on Facebook that are Green Bay fans. They're not going to like this, but I don't feel the championship, the Super Bowl, is going to come out of the NFC because look at the Rams, look at the Seahawks. Uh, Green Bay has its own issues. I mean, every team has their own issues. Right now, the Bills are playing probably some of the best football out of any team. I mean, yes, tonight we could run into a
Yeah.
defensive buzzsaw in Bill Belichick, but Josh Allen, to answer the question, like in my mind, he's the MVP. But like I'm a Bills fan, and I can't look at through rose-colored glasses. I have to
Mm.
take myself out of that for a second, and I really can see he's probably in the top three if he does something tonight because the other quarterbacks have already played. I mean, Patrick Mahomes really didn't play very well yesterday. He even admitted that on Twitter today, saying that he's never going to probably be a wide receiver in the league. Don't know if you saw that. That was literally right before the podcast. He said, "I don't think I'm going to be your receiver in this league." So I'm assuming his coach probably told him we're not going to be doing those kind of plays anymore. But yeah, I firmly think that's why tonight is so important. They
Yeah.
need to win, and they need to win in a convincing fashion. I mean, yes, if it's a little down to the wire, kind of like how it was the last game, but as long as Allen can show out tonight, he should be firmly in the MVP race. He's probably one of your keys to victory. If not, he should be in and around that because Josh Allen is what takes
In
this
a
team.
roundabout way.
Yeah, yeah,
In
I
a
mean, hey, I mean,
roundabout
it could
way,
be.
he's thrown in there.
Yeah, he takes the team goes with Josh Allen, and that's what an MVP is. It's
Mhm.
just like Jack Eichel with the Sabres last year. Why was he getting MVP votes last year? Because the Sabres, when they played with him for 2 games without him, oh my, it was ugly.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
was
hockey,
bad.
and that's a different beast in itself. Like
Yeah.
anybody can play hockey, and usually you can have some sort of competitive team as long as you have capable players. It goes like Josh Allen to me. You take him off the Bills and you put Barkley in, and no offense, and like you said, no offense to Barkley. Like, what are they going to do? Like Barkley, you're not going to play the Jets of a couple of years ago in the
Their
playoffs.
plays are different. Like, yeah, their play calls would be different. Like Matt
Mm-hmm.
Barkley is not the same type of quarterback that Allen is. I'm not saying that like Matt Barkley's terrible. It's just physically one guy can do one thing, the other guy can't. It's just the fact of the matter. And I just it's really annoying for me in this NFL award process that they look at MVPs and say, well, this guy is the most valuable player in the league. But he's already had those things. We know like get a guy with that award that has never had any recognition at all. Like can we do that
Yeah,
for a change? I feel like it's
that's
played out. Mahomes,
that's
you
the
you
problem.
know he's the best player in the league.
That's the
There's not
problem
much
with the
parity.
NBA. The
Yeah.
NBA is the worst. It's LeBron James almost every year that's at the top of the ballot, and it's like the NFL needs not to. I mean, the NBA is making money head over fist, but or hand over fist, but like that's what it gets me. So like you with the NBA, that's another thing. You are looking forward to the playoffs more than you are the regular season. With the NFL, it's a lead up
Mhm.
all the way. And it's not that Patrick Mahomes hasn't had an MVP like season, but I feel like he's had more games that have been letdowns than what Josh Allen has. And honestly, somebody who hasn't been in the MVP race that probably could be, and he's not like my favorite player whatsoever, but he's been hurt a little bit, was Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill takes like a 10-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes on a slant and turns it into a 55-yard, touchdown. He's done it. He's done it like four
Which
times
is
this year.
which to my point, if you put, I don't even know who Kansas City's backup is. I don't know off the top of my head. If you put that guy in and just said, hey, throw the ball to Tyreek Hill, throw the ball to Sammy Watkins, throw the ball to Travis Kelce, hand the ball off to Le'Veon Bell, or once Clyde Edwards-Helaire is healthy, one of those two
Mm-hmm.
guys, he would do pretty well. I think that's
Yep.
like, am I nuts for saying that? If you ask
No.
Matt Barkley to feed Stephon Diggs the way that Josh Allen has, I don't think he could do it the same way. It would be very different. And I think you'd say the same for Aaron Rodgers. I feel like Rodgers has been somewhat underrated these last few years. Like he's just kind of been lost in the shuffle, to me at least, in terms of
It's
the,
because
the
their
national
their
media.
defense has been awful. Their defense
Right.
has been awful, and he doesn't have a mark. I mean, he has Devontae Adams, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I can't name
Right.
a lot of their
They
receivers.
don't even
They've
really have a
been
marquee. Yeah. They don't even have a
Yeah, they don't
marquee
even
like
have.
coach. Matt LaFleur is young. Like it's kind of green, pun
I mean, he has a
intended.
running back now, which is not. I mean, that's the other thing. That's probably why he's playing better this year than probably why people are. He actually has a run game behind him now.
Right.
I just feel like the Green Bay's defense can. One week they look really good, and another week they look really bad, and it's kind of like that's why I just do not trust the NFC. If you're telling me that the Green Bay's the top, New Orleans, whatever their record is, I don't believe in New Orleans. I have a friend. He's told me countless times. He's just like He's like, we have a great record, but he's like, I don't feel that this is it. He goes, Drew Brees is just, he doesn't have a shoulder basically, and he
Right.
can't throw. You know what I mean? So there's so
Breeze,
many.
yeah.
The Super Bowl is going to run through the AFC this year. Is my point.
Mm, I like that take. Breeze, Rivers, and Big Ben, they all got to retire. Like it's just, and it's sad me saying that, but it's just, why show up a lesser version of yourself? Many years to come. It's like Big Ben's like, I got one more year left. Why? I mean, why? I mean, you want to go out the way you want to go out. That's fine, but it's a lesser version of yourself. Like go out knowing that you gave it everything you had is one thing, but the version of Big Ben that played the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not taking anything away from the Bills saying this, but not trying to at least, but that was not Big Ben 3 years ago.
Yeah,
That was not even Big Ben 2 years
even
ago.
when we played him here, yeah, because when they
Yeah.
played, I was at that game, and that was talk about a terrible game. I lost my cell phone at the. Oh, won't even get into that. But that was the that. But that was in one of those games where everyone's like, the weather in Buffalo, the blue color, and they listed off all these things and why the Steelers could possibly lose, and they ran all over us. Le'Veon Bell ran all over us. Big Ben threw all over
Yeah.
the place. So
Over
to
60 fantasy
Juju,
points that week.
right, and that was a different Ben, and he was still a little bit more mobile. But yeah, now he just like crumbles. Like, and he has an injury. Supposedly he has a knee injury, which is understandable. But at this point in time, he was throwing the ball. He took over the play calls the second half. Like he basically told his offensive coordinator, like, I got this, because Indianapolis was calling his plays when he got up to the line, and he was like, I don't.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah,
So
I did see something about that. It's pretty
yeah, and
nuts.
it's gonna be interesting. The Steelers are. I have a really good friend, and he might even be sneaking on and watching this now, or he'll watch it later. He knows me and him have talked, and he's just like, the Steelers are kind of like. He goes, they're lucky they got away with one yesterday, and he was thinking it was going to be a blowout loss, and I was just like, I don't know. Indianapolis is a weird team too when it comes to what version are you going to get this week, kind of thing. So it's but like I said, I guess hot take: the Super Bowl is going to run through the AFC. That's my hot take of the week.
I like it.
If there was a stamp that sizzled, there would be Phil's hot take of the week.
You know me. That's all I love is hot takes. That's more than pancakes or French toast. Hot takes. That's good.
with Frank's Red Hot Bills, right?
Yes, Frank's Red Hot Bills hot sauce. You gotta have Stephon Diggs in a Red Hot Frank's Red Hot commercial. Like that has to happen. Like at some point he's catching the hot sauce that's just flaming into his hands. Like that would be hilarious. I think it would be perfect. But
that's my quarterback because he did that. He did that for I guess it's part of the game tonight, the pregame thing. So
that's my quarterback. Yeah. And Monday Night Football. I mean, this is awesome because like December has literally been primetime month for the Buffalo Bills. I was talking to my dad about it earlier today. He's like, "Man, yeah, we couldn't really go, to the local bars that we normally could due to COVID. Not only because of COVID, but because of the time. They're not playing on Sundays at 1. They're not really playing on Sundays at 4. It's all prime time this month, and I've loved it. And the fact that not only have they been given these primetime slots, they have delivered on prime time. So it builds them up even more. Now you get the national media talking about them a little bit more. I think that is a little bit cringeworthy at times for me because it's like they don't understand us. They don't know. It's to that Step Brothers line. They don't understand us when he's wearing the Chewbacca. He's wearing the Chewbacca.
There's a lot of stepbrother references with the Bills season going on this year, especially with Diggs and Allen. There's a couple of good Twitter accounts out there. Yeah, I mean, like you're talking about, like your Nick Wrights and right. Am I even getting his name right? I don't know. He's just got a big schnoz.
I've said this on the show. I said this to Kyle Naparella. I've said this to Chris Naparella. I've said. The Nap Knows Bills host, I told him I genuinely did not know who Nick Wright was prior to these comments. Right. And like it gets so lost in the shuffle, like the fact that we are so accustomed to the national media, just ESPN First Take, putting out these just blasphemous takes. 2 years ago, Max Kellerman was saying that the New York Giants were idiots for drafting Daniel Jones ahead of Dwayne Haskins. 2 years later, Dwayne Haskins is out of a job, and Daniel Jones has been pretty decent for them. I mean, not great, but he's on the Giants
wheels. Still. He's got the wheels.
Yeah. So, I mean, these national media people saying, "Oh, we were wrong with Josh Allen." It's like I don't even want to hear it. You don't understand us. You don't deserve the right to understand us. That's how I feel. I get that Buffalo chip on my shoulder.
The biggest thing with Josh Allen that the national pundits kind of gloss over is he was built for Buffalo. Like he was built for this style. I think if he was on a bigger, like if he was in the bright lights of New York City, quote unquote, technically New Jersey, or if he was even in New England or even like a bigger market, I don't think he would have gotten the coddling that he got with the Bills. They didn't want to play him in his rookie year. That wasn't supposed to happen. Injuries happened and he got thrust into action. The way he developed from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, everybody, including Josh Allen, even said himself, I don't want to say he didn't call himself a project, but he knew he needed to develop because he wasn't at a big school. He wasn't at a school that develops quarterbacks. Like Wyoming does not toss out quarterbacks.
He played 2 years of basically NCCC football. I mean, it's JUCO, junior college, community college level football. And, as you mentioned, Wyoming, name a player that had been picked out of a conference like the conference that Wyoming plays in that was picked in the top 10. The only one is Josh Allen that I know of. I can't think of another one, and which makes me think this guy was able to be picked in the top 7. He was picked 7th overall. And where did his teammates go? I mean, some of these guys that were catching it's crazy the talent level that this guy had. Email to these universities, one of them in his own backyard, Fresno State, that said, thanks, but no thanks. And now he's one of the biggest stars of the National Football League. It's not even a debate anymore. This guy is as legit as it gets.
And he's fun to watch. And going to what you were saying when it comes to prime time, he shows up in prime time for the most part. I mean, yes, he's had a couple of lousy games even this year, especially that Tennessee one, which I want people to kind of throw out because the Bills were they were game planning for 2 games for 2 different games. I I mean, you and me couldn't couldn't fathom that. And I mean, Josh Allen, I think take his inconsistencies and put him into a blender with everybody else. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had his inconsistencies when he came onto the scene, and he came from Cal. I it, throw in Patrick Mahomes, which he didn't really come from a big. I mean, he came from Texas Tech. He had
Oh man,
remember when Patrick Mahomes was picked? People were like, "What is Kansas City
I
doing? They
have
have Alex Smith." And Alex Smith is, hey,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, that guy's a warrior. Love that guy. Um, but it
I have a
just
story about Pat Mahomes. I gotta
oh
dive into it at some point. But yeah, you continue.
yeah.
You continue.
Oh no, I was just kind of comparing the big QB stars um,
Mm-hmm.
that have grown up, and Allen just needed probably an extra half a season, and he got that half a season in his rookie year. So we should all kind of be happy because I think if he would have taken that whole year off, he's such a gamer that if you would have given him no games that year, um, I think the Bills would have been in a worse spot with him this year. Not worse, but I don't think he would have been as developed. And I mean, obviously working with Palmer in the offseason, I noticed so many things with his like how he throws now. He
Yeah,
doesn't throw
hundred
like he
percent.
doesn't throw wild.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't throw like a baseball, as some people have said in the past.
He's
He
very
throws it a little bit.
controlled.
Yeah, everything's in his
Yeah,
hips, and when he gets out of control, sometimes it's actually okay because his mechanics have been fixed. Like I guess fixed, as you would say. Even his out of control throws aren't really that bad. Yeah, he's going to throw some odd ones where you're like, please don't throw into triple coverage, but he at
right.
least he has the guys now that might be able to come down with it.
Please don't fumble. Please don't fumble. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's got to. That's another thing he's got to get better with too. When he's holding the ball out, sometimes he's just got to have better awareness. I feel like on his backside, sometimes no matter which way he's running, he kind of runs at the ball a little bit too low, and it's just like you're an athlete. You're quick. You were good enough to tuck it and run around, and then able to throw it if you need to.
yeah,
But he's been doing better with the checkdowns too this year, that's one of I think his biggest growths is that he's
yep,
realizing he takes the 2 reads downfield. He sees that the safeties are up. Okay, I'm going to take the underneath guy because I think that person can beat that linebacker or at least give me some chunk yardage. So um, I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
I feel like
I
there's
agree.
just been a maturation over this year.
Yeah, for sure. This is the next big step. You touched on Pat Mahomes. I mean, I remember vividly when he came out of college. They literally said something along the lines of, "Can he do what he does at Texas Tech in the National Football League?" And boy, could he ever. I mean, the fact that that was used against him, his ability to extend plays, his ability to make these no look passes, his ability to see things essentially before they happen and make defenses just look like they are just one step too slow. That's what Pat Mahomes has shown to me, and Allen has somewhat tapped into that a little bit over these last few weeks, which is why I'm so excited, and that's why a lot of Bills fans and Bills podcasters are so excited as well. But the fact that they didn't get that right, they did time and time again. The quarterback position in Buffalo was looked at as just a stain on this franchise post Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe was here for a cup of coffee, basically. Wasn't really a long term stint. Everybody knew that going in. Doug Flutie was thought to be done at the time, and he wasn't ultimately. That was Buffalo's mistake. So they just failed time and time again. Post Jim Kelly, J.P. Lossman, Trent Edwards, Ryan Fitzpatrick, E.J. Manuel, Tyrod. I could go on and on. In each instance, was just not the guy. Where they needed to get that guy that they could pluck out of a draft that could be here for the next 15 to 17 years. And to know that they finally have that guy, I have friends saying, Ryan, do you think that the Bills will win the Super Bowl this year? I don't know if the Bills will win the Super Bowl this year. I hope they do. That'd be great. But I think the bigger question is, and the better answer is, how long is Josh Allen going to allow the Buffalo Bills to be competitive? And knowing that, knowing the answer to that, it's going to be a pretty long time that the Buffalo Bills are going to be a competitive team. and knowing that that is the case, it will happen. The Bills will win a Super Bowl at some point in the near future. Maybe not this year, but I think the window here for the Buffalo Bills is the next 3, 4 seasons to ultimately win a Super Bowl, and Josh Allen is a big part of that, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess my thing is this year is so important, not only because I'm kind of no, I didn't want them to lose to Houston last year. Nobody did. But I think Josh Allen learned a lot from that game, and he kind of came back a lot stronger. He learned, the stupid mistakes that he made. Um, my biggest thing this year, if they can win a playoff game, and honestly, if they can win two, I really would really, really want them to get to that AFC Championship game. I feel like that AFC Championship game is in their grasp. There's matchups and whatever you want to say, but any team right now is beatable. The Bills are probably the top three teams right now. That includes Josh Allen. They have a top three QB playing right now. I'm not saying he's going to be, always the top three, QB in this
Right.
league. I just truly feel that right now, if you can take the momentum, that is however you want to say 2020 is, and you can take it and run with it. These Bills can be something special. A couple of people have said this kind of reminds them of the 05-06 Sabres team, of like nobody really expected them. They expected a step, but they didn't expect that step.
Right, right.
At this
Good
point,
point.
I'm kind of like, why not us? Why? And I'm not saying
Mhm.
I've told a couple people I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they can get to the Super Bowl, because the way Kansas City is playing right now, they're very vulnerable. Atlanta
Yeah,
is Atlanta
I
was a
agree.
good team when it comes to their defense. Their defense is a lot better. I just think I think the window's there, like you're saying. There's a 3 to 4 year window. They got to play the cap right. More than likely, our boy John Brown probably isn't going to be here next year due to the cap casualties. So you kind of have to start remembering they got to keep drafting well. They have to keep refilling. But like to
Right.
talk about this year I truly feel like because of that Texans game last year in the playoffs, the Bills should have won that game, and they should have been in the second round, and who knows what would have happened. I can't tell.
Right. There's no way of
It's not
knowing,
like with
right?
the Titans game years ago where I was like, yeah, they probably would have went to the Super Bowl in '99 or '98, '99, whatever season that was.
Doug Flutie would have done it. I don't care what anyone
He would have
says.
done it. Yeah, Rob Johnson wouldn't have lost his freaking foot. Our good friend Matt Perino will die on his hill for Rob Johnson. Love you, Matt.
Oh my
um,
god. Oh my god.
yeah, well, everybody fights it. Everybody.
I would love to debate Matt over Rob Johnson versus Doug Flutie. I would sign up for that any day of the week. I would sign that
Me and Matt have
contract.
done that plenty of times, and he has. Everybody has valid points. Everybody has
I
valid
will
points.
say no. Remember when I was saying no disrespect to Matt Barkley, and I was saying no
Mhm.
disrespect. Rob Johnson sucked. Like there is no two ways about it. Rob Johnson was a sitting duck in the pocket. He was god awful. I remember that was it's entrenched in my brain. It is, oh my god. Rob Johnson was the biggest blunder that the Bills picked, like traded for. In I mean, people say, oh, he was tall, he could throw, he was pretty good for Jacksonville. He had two good starts for Jacksonville. They gave up a king's ransom to go get him. Before that, they signed Doug Flutie for the league minimum, a guy that was the greatest Canadian football player in the CFL. Obviously, he's not Canadian, but CFL football player. He had the team. The team, Eric Molds, all those guys, they would have taken a bullet for Doug Flutie, where they wouldn't have even held the door open for Rob Johnson. Like it's
Oh yeah,
just,
there
oh my
needs to
god.
be if and to just the last thing I'll say on that subject, not because people are like they want 25 years, they got 25 years, got an AFC championship
People
right
still debate it. People still debate it though. It's great. I
now.
love it.
There needs to be a book. There needs to be a book, and I mean, even if it's just sold in the Buffalo market, there needs to be a book. If somebody sees this podcast, hears me, make a book. Rob Johnson, Flutie. I'm telling you, it'll sell like hotcakes. Hotcakes.
I
It'll
agree. I
sell
agree.
because it's what could have been. I mean, if Marv probably knows more, and all the. I mean, Wade Phillips, obviously, Wade Phillips has to know. He's got to know. He's not even really coaching. Come on, Wade,
That's
get
that's
that
a
book out.
decision. That's a decision. I would love to see him back in the NFL as a D coordinator. By the way, shout out to Wade Phillips, but that's a decision that has haunted Wade Phillips. It really, I know for a fact. I've followed Wade Phillips on Twitter for like 5 years. There's been people interacting with him about it at Son of Bum, who his dad Bum Phillips,
Yes.
obviously.
Yep.
Awesome Twitter handle, by the way. But he has said a bunch of times that that was not his decision, that was Ralph Wilson's decision, and that if it was
Mm-hmm.
his decision, he would have started Flutie right out of the gate, post Johnson even being healthy again. He was going to ride with Doug Flutie, ride or die with Doug Flutie. But I just love that, man. It is still such a big topic, and I wearing that Doug Flutie jersey to a Zoom Christmas thing that I was on with some family members. They were like, "Oh my God, you were a Flutie guy? You didn't like?" I'm like, "Why would I like Rob Johnson? What reason
Who wears Rob
would I
Johnson
have?"
jerseys? The only people I know who wear Rob Johnson jerseys is my buddy Devin, who he does it on purpose to just get people riled up. He's not even a Bills fan. He's a Giants fan. He does it on purpose. He
This is
has a
your
Rob
buddy.
Johnson jersey. He had well, I think he had it. He
I'm
had
just
a
kidding.
Rob Johnson jersey. I don't know if he still has it. I don't know. His mom gave it to. It was a screen printed one. Well, that doesn't matter. We
Rob Johnson sucked. I'd love to make that a T-shirt.
yes, one of those T-shirts is just
I
Rob
don't
Johnson
care if
sucked.
I don't care if I disrespect Rob Johnson. He was that bad. He just, oh
He
my
was
God, he was
Trent.
so
He
bad.
was Trent Edwards post concussion before there was Trent Edwards post concussion.
But he
The
wasn't
Cali
even.
boy
Trent
that
Edwards
like
was likable though. Like he had the flow. He was likable in that sense.
well
Rob
Trent
Johnson,
Edwards when he got
he blew
concussed
it
was
for me.
kind of like even his interviews after he got concussed he was like like
Yeah, it
just
was pretty rough.
he should have
Yeah.
been. I mean, if they would have had the same concussion protocol they have now, I think he would have been forced into retirement. Like it would have been game over.
I just watched that hit actually on YouTube, I believe, and that was one of the dirtiest hits ever, like that I've ever
Oh
seen. Like Adrian Wilson took his head and tombstone power drived it into the turf. Like it was brutal. But keys to victory here. I definitely believe we talked about a lot of stuff, and that's what I love about podcasting. It can go in all sorts of directions, and that's what makes a show entertaining. People didn't
yeah.
expect
Hmm.
a Thomas take layeth the smackdown. I swear to Matt Perino, I am more than willing to debate Doug Flutie versus Rob Johnson any day of the week. I would sign that contract with
Sorry, Matt.
zero hesitation. So I would literally, if I saw Doug Flutie, I would geek out. I would fanboy. I have no shame in admitting it whatsoever. That man is amazing to me. I think he's a hero. He is one of my football heroes. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Oh, I had
So
a big poster that was basically life size Doug Flutie that I put on my wall. I'm not even kidding. He was short, and it was pretty much it was before they had those. It was a Doug Flutie one. Yeah, it was great, and it was so
I love
90s.
that
I
guy.
don't. It completely. I think it got torn apart when I was moving, because I had taken it up and taken it down so many times from moving all the
Now,
time.
yeah, you mentioned though that you did watch that Steve Tasker Doug Flutie thing where they were going back and forth, and I thought that was awesome. I thought that
Hmm.
the timing of that, because that's a memory. Flutie's a fond memory of Bills fans. Like, not
Yep.
many Bills fans look back on the Flutie years and say, take it or leave it. They're like, yeah, that was a fun time because we didn't expect it. And that's what we can kind of take pride in now. We didn't expect this leap. We didn't expect it with the 0506
Yep.
Sabres, as you said. And that's kind of what we can take. It's like this magic Buffalo Bills
Yep.
mania that we have seen. And to give another key to victory, talking about the New England Patriots opponent, or the New England Patriots as an opponent, I should say, um, I think Cam Newton is done. Like I think his days as a starting quarterback in this league are extremely numbered. And you want to talk about a player that really has to prove something, or show up tonight, or show out a really good performance. Not only does Josh Allen have to do that for MVP considerations, Cam Newton has to do it to continue his career. Cam Newton has looked pretty bad these last few weeks. he looks like a shell of himself just in terms of his mobility, even, which was always a strong suit. What do you think of Cam Newton as it stands? And my key to victory number 2 is pressuring Cam Newton. If they can pressure Cam Newton, I think this game will be won very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you pressure him into some bad decisions like interceptions and stuff like that. His arm strength is just not there anymore. Um, he's had so many. I think he's either. I know he's had a lot of surgeries on his lower body, his hips. Like, I just don't think he has the power. Because what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the power from their throwing power when they're hitting those darts comes from your hips, and it comes
Mm-hmm.
from that motion. His hips and his knees have really taken a beating. He can run in a straight line, and he can do a juke move here and there, but it's not the Cam Newton that we knew in Carolina. He's been hit too many times, and he did that to himself. To be
Yeah, he
perfectly
did.
honest with you,
Yeah, that's a great
he
point.
he got himself into a lot of bad situations. Um, the point being, you're right that he is a shell of himself, and it just gets me so irritated when I hear those commercials for Schmunder Schmarmer. I'm not trying to Under Armour basically. That have him in it where he's like, I made a comeback. I'm on the Patriots. And I'm like, you're what you're doing is so much worse than what anybody could have imagined. I at least thought he had enough left in the tank to make things interesting for the Patriots. There have been a lot of times this year where I have turned on the TV and watched him get absolutely either walloped, or he throws a duck, or he
Yeah,
just does something that's so Cam Newton like. I will say the Panthers made the right move in releasing him for Teddy Bridgewater. Say what you will about how the Panthers ended up this year, but I mean,
it was
he's just not what he
100% the right move.
was.
Right.
And there's some debate about Stidham and why they're not playing him tonight. That just goes to show you. I mean, Bill Belichick he's kind of an old crotchety man, and he's also a genius. He probably knows from watching Tom Brady so many years in a row and having at least decent backups like a Matt Castle. If a Matt Castle can come in and take you to a 10-win, but you're too afraid to put in Stidham over Cam Newton. So to me, there's something wrong. There's something that's not connecting, and Bill Belichick
Yeah.
realized that. Bill Belichick still wants to win regardless, even though it's a little weird because you would think he would, being the draft guru that he is allegedly, which I feel like there's debate on that. That's a
Yeah,
that's an
there is.
off-season podcast for a different time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, I just feel like Cam Newton has fallen short of A, his goals this year, and B, he's not the same Cam Newton that we all probably like know and loved in Carolina. He's a weird guy. I mean, as well. I mean, he's got his own. I mean, I say weird. I'm not trying to. It's like how you said. I'm not trying to offend Matt Barkley. I'm not trying to offend
Yeah.
Cam Newton. I just have never gravitated towards him. There was a couple times when he was in Carolina where I enjoyed him, but as soon as that Super Bowl happened where he didn't pick up the ball, I was like, dude,
He
I
has
lost all
not been
respect
the
for you.
same.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
lost
he
all
has not
respect for
been
him after that.
right. Yeah, he has not been the same in terms of perception, like fan perception, football fan perception. He has not been perceived the same, and his act, this like gimmick that he has, is not really considered cute because he hasn't been successful. If he was successful, people would be more than willing to partake in it. But because he is, for the lack of a better term, he's stunk up the joint the last few weeks in New England, and obviously did in Carolina. Couldn't stay healthy. There were so many people asking me, why do you think Cam Newton hasn't been given a chance? And this was when he was a free agent. He's simply not that good anymore. It's
Right.
just that honest. He's just not the same guy. He can't move as well, and he can't throw as well as he did.
Yep.
And I think he has this ability to know where he is at in his career. I think he knows more than anybody where he is at in his career. And when his number is called, he doesn't want the ball. He doesn't want to be the guy to make the mistake. And we'll see that tonight. I guarantee you that is one thing I am sure of watching this game tonight. We'll see Cam Newton kind of quiver not under pressure from the Bills, but even if there is a wide open receiver 40 yards down the field, Rather than making that step up and making that throw into the pocket, Cam Newton will run for 5 yards. It is the
Yep.
weirdest. The guy is just nowhere near the player that he was mentally. I think he just isn't quite. He doesn't have the belief in himself that he once did. And I think if Buffalo pressures him, they're going to take
Yep.
advantage of it.
Agree.
This is my next point, and play like the Bills. For a long time, playing like the Bills meant fall flat on your face. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But now the
Yep.
Bills have an identity. They have an identity on this team. They have a red hot passing offense. I think obviously key to victory number one was to run the rock with Moss and Singletary. This Patriots defense is very soft up the middle, very soft edge to edge as well. The defense is not what it once was. Neither are the Patriots really as a whole. So if the Bills play like the Bills, play within their identity, not get too overzealous, that's one thing I would say Brian Dable has figured out this year is what is the identity of this offense? I have to establish that, and I have to continue to show that each and every week in my game plans. And this Bills offense has reaped the reward of that. So play like the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it big. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be Bills 31 to 30 or 31, pardon me, to 14. Bill Belichick knows that this isn't the same Buffalo Bills team. Bill Belichick also knows that the Patriots are not the same Patriots team. You let the greatest quarterback of all time, whether people want to admit it or not, he let the greatest quarterback of all time walk out the front door. And you're seeing the results of a team that is nowhere near the team that it was. Even one guy walking out the door, yes, Tom Brady is not what he once was either. But when Tom Brady walks out the door, Kyle Van Noy walks out the door. You saw a domino effect of players leave the New England Patriots. And Rob Gronkowski, 1 year sooner than that, was one of them. He decided to retire. And I got
Mm-hmm.
some very valid sources, not trying to sound like Adam Schefter here, but I have some very valid sources that told me that Rob Gronkowski retired because he just didn't want to really partake in the rigorous practices that Bill Belichick demands out of his players. And now
Yep.
that franchise turns a new leaf, and you're seeing the lackluster results that has provided. So I think that this Bills team is obviously one of the hottest in the NFL, and the Patriots are on the downturn. They have no identity at all, offensively or defensively. And I think the Bills are going to really take advantage of that and win this game big. What do you say about that, Phil?
I definitely think I guess they're what for lack of identity. The only thing they really can do is run, and that's the only thing they've proven to do well this year. The Patriots have.
Right.
That is technically still the Bills' weaker point. They have shored it up. They have done that. The defense looks a lot better because guys like Vernon Butler have stepped up. Uh, I think this week the Bills need to. I'm not saying stick 8 men in the box, but what I did see last week a little bit, I did see some AJ Klein and Milano kind of out there roaming around. Um, I haven't seen the inactives yet. I just know Stephon Gilmore's not playing. I don't know about Julian Edelman, even if he's even sticking around for this game or if he's going to be playing or whatnot. He's kind of always been the thorn in the Bills' side for me, other than like Amendola, like those as I forgot who said it. They're called. Oh, Chris Sims calls them white boy supremes, and that's a quote. Those receivers that just get underneath you, because you can put Cole Beasley into that category. He's a white boy supreme, but it's all these Patriot receivers that just get underneath. They hit those short routes, hit those crossing routes, blah 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 blah. Anyways, the Patriots don't have that really, and I think Edelman's he's kind of in the twilight of his career, kind of like where Cam Newton is. He's so banged up.
He's got
He's a
yeah.
I give him a lot of credit. He's a gamer. He plays through a lot of bad stuff like he did last year, but in all honesty, like the Pats at this point, they have a run game. If there is a chance for them to beat the Bills, it's off of turnovers and running the ball really well and efficiently. I'm kind of like you. I feel like it's going to be a two-score game. I feel like it's going to. I'm thinking it's going to be like a 31. Instead of your 31 to 14, I'm thinking 31 to 17 because I think there's going to be a field goal in there somewhere, and there might be a
Giving him a
garbage
chip
touchdown.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like the Patriots get I
Yeah.
always
No,
feel
I
like
hear
this
you.
happens once a game. They get a big run play, and you get really mad, like me, and I'll probably swear into Twitter, and then all of a sudden the Bills will stop, and I'll be like, oh, they need to fix this, that, and the other. Leslie Frazier, and then I stop and I cool down a little bit, and I think 31-17 is a good spot to be in. My computer just loves to just fall asleep. That's why you see it's not the Undertaker here. It's just the computer. Because I have a couple of things that I wanted to make sure I was looking at before we came
You're
on.
good. You're good.
But I definitely think 31-17 Bills win tonight. They need to make sure they keep their run defense stout. Like I said, if they don't have to play, if they can not play that two linebacker thing, maybe throw a third linebacker in, or throw in a big safety like maybe like a Dean Marlowe, Saron Neal, throw in a big guy down there, big corner down there. Let's get it going. Get Taron Johnson, who's been playing lights out, and I was the biggest hater of that guy. Kind of can be
He's
still.
been great.
Yeah, and I
He's
mean,
been
hey,
great.
even even why I'm who's the other
Levi
corner on the other
Wallace.
side? Not Josh Norman. The why can't I can see his face? Levi Wallace. Why can't, I
Yeah, Levi
completely
Wallace.
like
Yeah.
blanked on his face.
Yeah.
I thought I was about to come up with like Jabari Greer or something. Like, what is going on? What year
Well,
am I living
I
in?
do I do have a hot take, and I think that my hot take is depending on the game script of this game, I think Cam Newton could get benched tonight.
Oh,
I think that this game is going to be an ugly game for him. My expectations are that this Bills defense is going to just smash him. I'm being wholeheartedly honest, just X's and O's football wise. I don't see Cam Newton as a threat. I'm not afraid of Cam Newton. I would actually say that he is probably the worst quarterback in the AFC East, including Tua, including Fitz, and including Sam Darnold.
hmm
I'm not high on Cam Newton anymore, and it's me judging what I have seen thus far. I just don't see it, and I think that the Bills are on such a tear that their confidence is at an all time high. And knowing that this Patriots team, we knew when Tom Brady left the Patriots, that the Patriots would then be vulnerable. But to see it,
hmm
it proves to me that this team is mentally not tough. To lose one player and to then lose a couple others, and to just be just really one of the. I mean, the fact that they beat the Chargers 45-0 shocked me. That was like the last Patriots shock I think we'll see all season long, and
hmm
I think the Bills are going to pull this off. So you believe that the Bills will pull this off. I believe that the Bills will pull this off. And I think that this is going to be a fun game tonight. I'm very pumped up for the fact that the Bills are on prime time again. I got the backdrop on the visual side of things, under the lights, Monday Night Football lights. But to wrap up the show here, uh, quickly to bookend the show, I would be very remiss to not get your 2021 Buffalo Sabres season outlook. I know that the Sabres are like the apple of your eye. You're more of a, I would say you're a football guy too, but you're more of a hockey guy. You resonate with hockey a little bit more than football from what I've gathered in our conversations.
hmm
And I get the sense that you share somewhat of the same opinion as me. From what I've seen of your posts on Facebook and stuff, you're very happy they got Taylor Hall. I'm happy they got Taylor Hall. But you see a glaring weakness with this team, and that weakness of the Buffalo Sabres is their goaltending. What do you think of Hutton and Allmark now, right before the 2021 Buffalo Sabres season kicks off?
Well, it took some convincing of me. I had to listen to a couple of people that have more knowledge of the team and have more knowledge of hockey in general when it comes to how hockey players operate. I have said many of times I never played hockey. I played football going through high school and up into to college. I never really played hockey. I just watched it. So I had my own
Mm-hmm.
fan like opinion, but I also know how hockey's played just by watching it. And to me, I saw great goaltending. We were spoiled with great goaltending from
Very
the
spoiled.
90s. Yeah, very spoiled from the early 90s all the way through. Um, Even till like a few years ago when they were tanking, when all of the goaltenders that they brought in were winning them games, and it was the goaltender, it wasn't the team, it was the goaltender that was literally like putting game after game on their back and just winning games for them, which they did not want, obviously. Um, the ghost of Tim Murray still lives. My outlook and my thing with the Sabres this year, yes, it's goaltending, but what I've talked myself into is we're in a division that's really tough. Uh, but I think I feel like Hutton had his worst year last year, and it was because of the vision problems. Now, I think I've said this before. I worry about that vision issue coming up again, but allegedly it's fixed. And people with a lot more knowledge who are a lot closer to the Sabres, they said it's fixed. He's a lot better. He's in a lot better spirits. He's better overall. His reactions, whatever. As a goalie, he's supposedly back. If we could get the Carter Hutton that we originally got, even a version of that, they should be good. John Vogel of The Athletic had just put out a really good comparison, and that's what I was kind of reading through right before I came on, of the days off in between and when they were really good in between. I really encourage people, if you are fans of The Athletic or have a subscription, to go read that article by Vogel. It's really really good. It's not hard analytics either. It's like how many days in between does this guy
Just
play
clear
really
cut.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah. He does a really good job of interpreting things. Um, so I encourage people to go read that. It's very good. It gave me a little bit more hope, but the division that we're in this year is really tough. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like that the Penguins are not the Penguins of old. It's kind of like the Patriots.
Yep.
They're kind of falling off a little bit. Crosby's their Brady. He hasn't left yet, but he's still the Tom Brady of the NFL or the NHL. Um, I also feel like the Islanders are not going to be as good as what they were last year. They're still going to be a tough team to play against. The Sabres have seemed to have issues all the time with teams like that. Um, my biggest thing, like you said, and what we've alluded to, is the goaltending. It's really going to be up to Allmark. If Allmark can be just a bit better than he was last year, they really should have a shot, because you expect Hutton to be better. The problem is, my biggest thing is, I still feel like they're the worst goaltending tandem in the division that they're in. I'm not going to say NHL, because they're not going to be playing other teams unless they do make the
Well,
playoffs, which that's
yeah.
I can't tell you if that's going to happen or not. They also brought back the same defensive core as they did last year, with one or two other additions that are like not great additions. They're just they're seventh, eighth defensemen. I will say though this, to have some optimism, um, because the defensemen have had some issues over the year. I think that the Sabres can pick out a few guys that are younger, and I think they'll end up having a better top six for that defensive core than what they did last year, with a few names going in and out. But overall, I think the Sabres, there's a lot to be optimistic about. But yeah, the goaltending, biggest issue right now, heading in. Um, and then Ryan, if you want to, kind of wrap up a little bit,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
I can kind of spiel what I was gonna, say right at what
Yeah.
we kind of
So
hinted at the beginning.
you served it up on a tee for me in golf terms. I could honestly say that this Sabres team, I am optimistic. I might be crazy for being optimistic. I feel like I've been optimistic before, and the Sabres have
Yep.
just pointed and laughed in my face and said, "You believed in this team?" Aha! Like I just feel like I don't know. I feel like it was an April Fool's joke sometimes when I
Over and
believe
over
in the
again. Yep.
Sabres. Yeah, over and over again. But I do have high expectations because Taylor Hall was such a big move for this team, and I believe in Ralph Kruger. I think he's the guy. I think that he resonates really well with the players. Finally, they have a coach since Lindy Ruff that can kind of um, get some life out of these guys, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
get that edge to the Sabres team. And the Sabres' edge, I guess you could say, would be that Ralph Kruger can get a lot out of his players mentally, physically, and Taylor Hall has talked about that. So the fact that Taylor Hall came here, I think established that Ralph Krueger is the right guy for this team because Taylor Hall respected Krueger from his days in Edmonton and saw something in him that was special. And that makes me extremely optimistic for this Sabres team. And moving forward, the chances of them keeping Hall even are pretty good. So I think that this Sabres team should make the playoffs. I like the fact that the season is shorter for the Sabres, in particular, because they
So there's
have
not that
shown.
big.
Yes, they've shown moments where they can be really. This pandemic might have actually helped the Sabres.
Yeah.
It's crazy to say that, but it could have. And to touch on some stuff that you have going on, to kind of bookend the show, I feel that we got to talk about this. You're starting your own Sabres podcast that is going to be like once every couple weeks. You'll be putting out Sabres content, Sabres takes, material, all that stuff on the Buffalo Sabres. I think it's much needed in this area. I think this community needs more Buffalo Sabres podcasts than what are out there. There is a big base of Bills content out there, my
Yeah.
podcasts, and
Mm-hmm.
naming many, many others that are out there. In comparison, it's like the Bills podcasts are up here just in terms of the amount, and the Sabres
Mm-hmm.
podcasts are like down here. So I think it's a great thing, man, that you're starting your own show, and I look forward to tuning in. It'll be the Sabres Phil, right? Like PHIL, Sabres Phil. Do I
Yep.
have that right?
Yep. It'll be. I'll call it your Sabres, Phil. I'm trying
Mm.
to, and it'll be spelled my name. That is the name as of right now, unless I get some, followers or Facebook people that don't like it. I thought it would be punny. Um, I just feel like I know there's some people who make hot takes, and I know you're all about the hot takes, but I'm kind of here to just have a conversation. I'm not here
Oh
to
yeah,
like. I'm
I
not
do the
here
hot
to.
takes riding solo. That's what I do.
You're like let me take care of that. Let me take. But I
Yeah.
know there's a couple of people out there that there's a couple of podcasts that have been started because maybe of a call that they've a call in or something has happened that has really blown them up because of their passion. Listen, I'm a passionate Sabres fan. I have lived through the good. I've lived through the bad. I've lived through a team that's almost been sold. Um,
Yeah.
I felt like this niche needed to happen. But yeah, it's your Sabres, Phil. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritties. I'm just going to give you a name. There's going to be a pilot episode coming out soon. I'm going to try to get it on all platforms. I'm actually going to try to start a new YouTube channel just dedicated to that. I'm not going to use my own YouTube channel because I just feel like I have gamer nerdy stuff on there that I'd rather just not have linked to it. Um, so yeah, I just hope people can tune in. I will have more information. You can follow me on Twitter at pmoney59. That's MUNNY
Yep.
59. I'm also on Facebook, but my Facebook friends, and I think it's because of this podcast, are kind of filling up fast. It's not a problem. I don't mind it, but Facebook has that
I
limit.
love hearing
They
that,
have that
man.
limit of
That's
how
awesome.
popular you can be. So if you can all follow me on Twitter, please, 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 and then I will have the links out. Obviously, Ryan, you'll probably share the links once they get out. I
For
just feel
sure.
like it'd be a
100.
better platform for me than I think I can just get my opinions out. It'll be a semi-monthly kind of ordeal. I'm going to try to work with some of the other podcasters, the local podcasters. I'm all for teamwork, and
Yep.
if anybody sees this, I'm all for teamwork. Sabres, Bills. I want to make sure that everybody's getting their fill of content, but at a gradual pace. I don't want to just bam hit you with X, Y, and Z. I want to make sure that you get my podcast on a day where hey, I just want to watch this or I want to listen to this today. And hear
Yeah.
Phil's, terrible or really good takes. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see where the
Hey,
wind takes us.
if they think your takes are terrible, the best part, one person, I can attest to this, one person could think my take was terrible, and then I could have another take 3 months later that they love. That's what it's all
Yep.
about. That you gotta
Yep.
convert the people, make them see how you see things, and once you do that,
Mm-hmm.
you're in good hands. I'm by no means finished product. There's always work to be done, but that's what makes
Yep.
podcasting so much fun. Is that it's a tough racket. It really is. It's something that you have
Mm-hmm.
to work on, and it's fun. It's a fun project, and the best piece of advice that I could give you is be you, man. And you have no problem being you. And I love that. So thanks for hopping on, Phil. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. I know what you're about to do is what I'm about to do.
There's the dog.
I gotta go pick up some pizza.
Yep. And she wants the pizza, or she's barking at somebody who just came in. Our garage just went off. So sorry, listeners, that Harley has made her appearance or made her voice known. She likes Taylor Hall, but she hates the goaltending too.
Yeah, right. We need Marty Brown or Ryan Miller back, one of those two, but or Hattrick, that'd be nice. But
hey, if I can get one of those two on, that'll be great.
Would. Take care, buddy.
All right, take care.
See you.
See ya.